Gentlemen, thank you for being here. Starting with you, Mr. West, and then Mr. Klein, I'd like you to address the question regarding an emerging theme through this contentious campaign. And that is Allen West really that scary a black man to serve the Congress?
Well, if you want the short answer, no. And I think one of the important things is if people are trying to portray me to be some big boogeyman or whatever, that's not the case. And I think that one thing that you have to look at is for 22 years when I was deployed to 13 different countries, 3 different combat zones, no one was concerned about my character. No one was concerned about the type of person that I would be to go over and make sure that your life, your liberty, and your pursuit of happiness will be protected. I think that what we do see in this election cycle, and definitely in this race, is that we are getting away from talking about the issues, talking about the things that affect you, and talking about the things that affect your home. And this has become a race that is dealing more so with character assassination and also the destruction of an American family, which is what I consider my family to be. I think that what we must do, and I think that my commitment to you and the donations that I receive to my campaign is focused on getting a message out about the issues that are prevalent and the issues that are so pertinent to each and every one of us in South Florida, such as the high unemployment rate, 13%, such as the foreclosure rates that are skyrocketing, such as the fact that the Census Bureau just came out last week with Congressional District 22 having the number 3 largest number of uninsured Americans in this nation. So I don't consider myself a scary guy. Maybe my daughters do when they upset me. I don't consider myself.
Thank you. And, the issues that we're facing are obviously issues that are important to our country, and that is jobs. That is the number 1 issue. And, of course, for our seniors, Social Security and Medicare are important issues. But obviously the debate that's going back and forth relates to individual issues that are associated with us. The issue of my opponent's race has nothing to do with anything. Every American has the right to compete, and it's all about ideas, and that's what's the focus at this point. What I think is relevant, though, it's not my words. Mr. West has said in his own words, I'm happy to be here with my right-wing extremists. Take arms against a tyrannical government. Now, these aren't rhetorical flourishes. These are real statements. And, again, I view our community as a middle-of-the-road community. That's my politics. I believe in supporting business. I've done it my whole life. I believe in fiscal responsibility. That's why I've lived my personal life and my professional life. I believe that we don't have to spend all our time in Tallahassee, Washington, fighting over abortion or guns or all these other Terry Shiver type issues. This is a moment for us as Americans to focus on the real things up front, not to play scare tactics, not to talk about Sarah Palin views and who endorsed my opponent. That's besides the point. Yeah, that's an issue, and it's going to have this issue who endorsed me. But the bottom line is, what are your positions? And if it's about divisiveness, and I don't want to put my opponent's comments at some point where I don't believe in inclusiveness, I don't believe in working with other people. It's ridiculous. That kind of behavior will not create one job. I have seen it over and over again. It's the way I live my life. That you work with everyone who is involved in this process to make sure you bring the smartest people of all backgrounds, of all political relations to the table and work out answers.
Well, I think one of the important things you have to realize when my opponent talks about working with people all the time, he has a 98% voting record with Nancy Pelosi. That shows that he is not working with other people. Now, as far as the comments about me being a right-wing extremist, that was a very tongue-in-cheek thing that I said at the 4th of July rally when I stood before some people and we made a joke about it. Of course, people can take anything and sound clip it and make it to be what they want. Now, the other thing about this thing about taking up arms against the government, back in October 2009, we had a rally that was at a place called At the Revolution. And off to the side, there was a gentleman that was dressed in Continental Army regalia. And he did have a musket, and he did have a bayonet. And before I came out to speak, there was a pipe and drum corps. It was a Revolutionary War theme. And what I was talking about the metaphor of taking up the musket, taking up the ability to stand on principle for the United States of America. And I will bring you to a great quote from Thomas Jefferson, where he said, "If injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty. And the means by which we resist being oppressed in this country is through the ballot box." And that's where we'll be 3 weeks from now. Japan, when they found themselves in recession, they tried 8 to 9 stimulus packages. They kept themselves in a recession for a decade. Then also, you look at this. We have had the longest string of consecutive months of unemployment being at 9.5% or higher. That means that the stimulus package, which my opponent supported, was supposed to keep unemployment at 8% or lower, has not done it. Another thing we have to look at, we continue to add on to our debt. Our debt now is over $13 trillion. And one of the things that you have to understand, young man, that right now, sitting on your head, you have $45,000 that continues to click away because of the debt that's continued to add. And my opponent voted earlier this year to raise that debt limit by $1.9 trillion. I don't think that that is something where we're talking about the private sector growing. We're not talking about the private sector investment. You look at the statistics that have continually come out, where we have public sector outpacing the private sector in compensation 2-to-1. We have 9% growth in the public sector. 2 weeks ago, I had the opportunity to go up to Washington, D.C. And when you go and look at Washington, D.C., and you look at the skyline of that place, you see one same thing that you're not seeing down here. That's construction cranes. If they're growing in Washington, D.C., that means that we're not growing down here. And one of those buildings that they're building up in Washington, D.C. is a new facility for 16,000 IRS agents, which for some odd reason was part of the health care law that my opponent supported.
Well, maybe Mr. West should need to help you a lot, which I did, because there was something to do with construction cranes for the IRS.
That's a lie.
I think my disagreement with Mr. West is this notion that tax cuts solve every problem. And we think back to the Great Depression, when we're all students of history, we realize that recessions and depressions occur when the private sector is no longer creating jobs for any number of reasons. And today we live in a world economy. And we can talk about the fact that the United States is not creating jobs. We're tied to the European Union, we're tied to Russia, we're tied to China. A lot of things out there that you may or may not want, but it's a reality. So if in fact there is a recession, the question is how do we create new jobs? Well, certainly tax cuts are part of it, but this notion of tax cuts solve every problem and all of a sudden businesses, I've talked to a lot of businesses that say, well, if you give me a couple $1,000, I'm not going to have some big hiring spree. I'm only going to hire when customers come through. And people are willing to buy what I sell. That's the bottom line. That's what I hear over and over again. And that's what we have to do. We have to create the demand. We have to create the confidence in the economy. Part of that is having a stable tax system that is before. It's not 1 year, 2 years. It's permanent. It's understood that it's going to be out there for a long time. Again, businesses, get rid of unnecessary regulations. I work with the marine industry in South Florida. Last year they had this problem with this unnecessary tax in the form of an insurance premium. They were paying a duplicated workers' comp. It doesn't do anything. So I went and fought with others, but we got it done. The Democrats were going to be eliminated. And what does that mean? These businesses now have somewhere between $10,000 and $100,000 of money that they have to pay. It's in their pocket. They can hire somebody. They can buy a piece of equipment. They can expand their business. This is the way you go about it.
All right, thank you. That completes the first round. On to the second round, which consists of 2 questions from the public.